Hi, everyone. I wanted to ask you about the reaction of the United States to Zelensky's letter.
Now, that's the most interesting part.
Did they pull out?
Yes, listen, thank you so much because I'd sort of drifted off and you've steered me back on course a bit. And then I sort of slept on it for another night, which is why I discussed what we talked about with Boris on air in the evening. And then after another night, there's a third iteration. When I started thinking about this letter, I suddenly realized at some point that it's much more insulting to Trump than it is to Putin. That's a very interesting point. Because essentially, there's a hidden message to Trump embedded in this letter, the gist of which is, you've moved on, but I'm still here. The Europeans have replaced you. Now you have to fit into our agenda with the Europeans, not us into yours. Bury your spirit of anchorage in the far corner of your golf course. If you translate the diplomatic formulas of Zelensky's letter into plain language, that's basically the whole content, then it turns out that it should be much more interesting for Trump than for Putin. Because you see, as I mentioned before, whether you insult Putin or not, you will still end up with the exact same result. But to actually see someone take a swipe at Trump like that right in front of us in our lives, well, honestly, I really do not see that happen very often at all. Well, the Iranians, of course, but they're in a different position already. So you're asking about the reaction. Well, Trump's reaction actually came at that particular moment when he's also a person we understand with clear personality traits. He hadn't seen or heard of this letter. And most importantly, it's clear the Americans likely had it a week or two before it was written, but who's going to brief him? And so they caught him on the fly. He says, just like Lisa Anakina caught me, he says, look, Zelensky wrote a letter to Putin about how they want to meet. Well, he says, of course, it's a good idea. Let them meet there. And he took the opportunity to say, well, that's none of our business right now. It's their business. That's it. Trump closed the book on that story for himself, which is very good. But I think someone will brief him on the actual content of the letter. So I don't want to be an oracle, of course, but I think we'll see another reaction from Trump yet. And Putin caught on to this. If you read closely into Putin's response, it's also interesting because it wasn't a reply to Zelensky, but a report to Trump about Zelensky.
But can we now state that the states have pulled out of the negotiations?
Yes, absolutely. So Trump has turned the page for himself now. It's not about Zelensky's letter, but he might have used it as a pretext to announce this. So for me, this marks the end of the 18-month saga of Trump's slow and careful extraction from that foolish claim he made during the campaign, which hung over him like a sword of Damocles. Like, I'll just come in and make peace between them in a single night. And that one night was thrown back at him, as you recall, almost every day early in his term. Every morning he was asked, where is that night and where is that day when you'll reconcile Russia and Ukraine? And slowly, patience is key. He wound it down, swept it under the rug, saying, well, it's all very complex. It's not as simple as a day. And then a day is relative. It could last an eternity. And finally, now I can say everyone has simply lost interest in it. So he has achieved his political objective for himself. Now he can be free from the Ukrainian issue and do whatever he wants. Right? This will be a new policy altogether. From this moment on, Trump has untethered himself from that promise and set out on his own. The thing is, while sailing freely like that, he immediately struck the iceberg of the Middle East war, but that's another story.